All right, let's talk a little Buccaneers football with our good friend Scott Reynolds from the Pewter Report. What's up, Scotty? How are you, my friend?
Doing good, fellas. How are you? Happy Thursday. It's Friday Junior, isn't it? That's what we call Thursday, Friday Junior.
I like that. Yes. The prequin. Is that what they call it?
The
pre-weekend? The prequin?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly.
Something like that. Well, you were out there on Tuesday for the media portion of and you know who wasn't there? Me.
That's right. You weren't there.
You know who was there? Wasn't there either? Hassan
Reddick.
And now I'm not getting paid $14 million to play for the Bucs this year.
Right.
So I didn't have to be there. And neither did he, actually.
Neither did he.
Neither did he.
Yeah.
Which was a good deal.
Okay.
Which was a good deal. But he wasn't.
Yeah.
And we're not making a big deal out of it. All I said the other day was, if I were him and an opportunity to make like mid-30s in my next contract, I would be doing everything I can to show all the rest of the prospective employers and the one I have right now that I'm committed.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I get it. And you're not wrong. But at the same time, nobody's going to care. No other teams are going to care. The Bucs aren't going to care if this guy puts up somewhere between 8 to 13 sacks this year, right? I mean, that's all that matters is what you do on game days. I was going to say Sundays, but the Bucs play on Thursday and Monday as well. So that's all that really matters. And he's a veteran. It's, once you're 30, it's kind of commonplace. Guys don't show up. I mean, Vita Vea hasn't participated in OTAs. Neither is Levante David, Mike Evans, nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, but they're not learning a new system.
True, but I mean, what does he have to learn? He knows how to rush the passer. He knows how to tackle. He can fill a gap, right?
He has to learn how to drop in coverage 22 times a game.
I don't think they're doing that right now anyway.
He's done some of that. He's a veteran. Listen, training camp is about 4 weeks long, so he'll have plenty of time to learn those nuances about Todd Bowles' defense, to learn and get that chemistry down with the defensive lineman he'll be stunting with and all that. So I'm not concerned, and neither is Todd Bowles.
Well, that seems to be the talking points, and they're not allowed to be concerned either. So they can't speak. What else did you see out there that caught your eye?
I mean, Servassier Dennis again, man. He's just – I wrote about it on Friday in my SR's Fab 5 column on pewterreport.com because I got some word from some of my sources. It wasn't just Tuesday when he had the interception. This is last Tuesday that he looked good. It was also Wednesday and Thursday. And then we asked Todd Bowles after practice on this Tuesday, who's looked good? And he's like, Servassier Dennis. So I mean, it's just, if this guy can stay healthy, I think he's going to have a monster year. And what does that look like for a player like Servassier Dennis, who's not arrived, but he's on the rise? It probably means 100 tackles. It means a handful of takeaways when you factor in interceptions, forced fumbles, fumble recoveries.
That's what we
probably
need.
A handful of sacks. I don't know that this guy is a Levante, David, Hardy, Nickerson, Derek Brooks type. I have no idea. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But I do think he can get to that Devin White, Shelton Quarles level. When I say Devin White, I'm thinking, Bucs fans, before you freak out, 2019, 2020 Devin White, not so much the latter Devin White when he was averse to shedding blocks and things like that. But the guy that showed a lot of potential, the guy that actually made a Pro Bowl 1 year. Yeah. And I think that he's that caliber of player. He just was a ball magnet. I mean, God, the guy had 15 sacks at Pittsburgh and 7 as a senior. So he's a playmaker, man. He really is.
Nathan Elliott wants to ask about Cody Mock, Luke Gedicke. Have they been out there? What have you seen of those guys?
Yeah, Luke Gedicke did come back to the OTAs. He might have been dealing with a little bit of a soft tissue injury. He wasn't there. He's working out with trainers during the first Tuesday. He was a full participant in Tuesday's OTA, which was a good sign. Cody Mock, I mean, these guys, honestly, they're Pro Bowl caliber players. They really are. It's just a matter of, are they going to get their due? Like Ali Marpet was a Pro Bowl caliber guard, and he made one Pro Bowl, and that was in 2021 after they won the Super Bowl. So it just, to me, I just hope they get the recognition. And you know what? I know that week 1 game against Atlanta is not on national television. It's a 1:00 game. But if the Buccaneers win that game and then go to Houston on Monday Night Football in week 2 and really ball out. I mean, like if they take it to the Texans, and I think they're capable of doing that. That's a big stage early on that can set the table for a lot of league-wide respect. Because if they win that game, the Buccaneers are 2-0, right? And as I've been told by plenty of general managers over my 30 years of covering this team, week 2 is the most important week in the first part of the schedule. Because if you're 0-1, you have a chance to right the ship. You have a chance to be 1-1. Because the problem is if you're 0-2, there's that infamous record of if you start off 0-2, like your chances of making the playoffs ain't good.
Right.
It's not impossible, but the thing is you need to win 3 straight games at that point in time to get above 500, right? And so even if you win 2 out of 3, you're still below 500.
Yeah.
Heading into week 6, right? So you're just in catch-up mode for after the first quarter of the season. That's not where you want to be. And week 2 is really important because if you do win in the first week, now you're 2-0 and you've given yourself a little bit of cushion. You stub your toe in week 3, as this team has done over the last couple of years. You can win the next game. Boom, you're 3-1. That's a hell of a start for quarter 1. I think any team around the league, if you say, can you just automatically pencil us in for 3-1? Forego the chance to get 4-0. Just pencil us in for 3-1. Every single coach in the league would say, give me 3-1 in the first 4 games. So that week 2 game on Monday Night Football in Houston has a big time meaning, not just for the Buccaneers, but for some of these players individually in their Pro Bowl aspirations.
Scott Reynolds joining us here. Antoine Winfield Jr. has been at just about every OTA, and we all know what a disappointing season he had last year after signing the big deal. It's all injury related, in my opinion. He also spoke with the media. What did you glean from Antoine Winfield about his struggles last year and coming back?
He's just ready to turn the page. He doesn't want to talk about last year. I think it was an aberration. I think it was a bit of a fluke. The injuries did diminish his playmaking ability, right? They just did. He was not at 100% from week 1 on, and kind of like playing catch-up mode a little bit himself. It's one thing to like play in week 1 and then miss 4 games, right? And then to kind of get back in the groove and play through a foot injury. I mean, he was well enough to play, but he wasn't at 100% when he entered that lineup against the Saints. And he did have a scoop and score. That was kind of vintage Winfield right there. But it just robbed him of being that special player and having another special season. But if you go back and look, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, those 4 years were who Antoine Winfield Jr. is. And he had the blow-up year and the contract year. He may never have a season like that again. That's okay. If this guy has 100 tackles, maybe not 3 interceptions, but 2, maybe not 6 sacks, but 3 or 4, maybe not 6 forced fumbles, but 3. Take all of the superlatives and cut them in half, and you'll take that every year. Absolutely.
Anthony Walker, one of the newcomers at linebacker. I know he's shown out, and Deion Jones as well. I hear people say all the time the Bucs are thin at inside linebacker. I'm like,
my gosh, yeah.
I don't think so. I think they've got 4 starters at inside linebacker.
I asked Todd Bowles. I said, Todd, heading into training camp, what are your 2 biggest stacked positions on offense and defense? And on defense, really surprised me. I thought he was going to say outside linebacker because they do have a lot of talent there. It's just a lot of it's young and it's not that proven yet. But I mean, the talent is there at outside linebacker, and I think Larry Foote's going to get it out of him. But he said inside linebacker. He said
I agree.
We're deep at inside linebacker, and I agree. I mean, if Deion Jones, who's made a Pro Bowl and has started for years and years in this league and is still a very good athlete and is not over the hill yet at age 30, if he is inside linebacker 4 on the depth chart, like that's pretty good. I mean, I think a lot of teams would love to have that caliber of a player as their second backup on the inside linebacker. And remember, the Bucs play nickel just about every single they're a 2 linebacker team. You're not going to see many unless it's goal line or short yardage, 3 linebackers in the game. That's just not really Todd Bowles' bag. But Servancier Dennis, Levante David are the starters. Anthony Walker has looked really good, and it's actually been a huge benefit to not have Levante David practice because Walker's been the starter alongside of Servassier Dennis, so he's really getting schooled up on this Todd Bowles defense. Deion Jones, remember, came here at the midway point of the season, maybe late October, early November on the practice squad. So he's had months to learn this scheme and this defense, and he was a Buccaneer in January and February, right? Anthony Walker wasn't signed till March, so he's still playing catch up a little bit. But these are two seasoned guys that Walker reminds me of, and I've kind of been told, think like Kevin Mentor, kind of at the end of his career.
And he was he had to fill in a couple games and play tremendously well.
Yeah, for Devin White, and just a steady Eddie, a guy that's not going to get you beat. May not be the splashiest player, but is going to be assignment sound. He's not going to be a weak link. And he's got experience. And that's something that, quite frankly, KJ Britt and JJ Russell just didn't have enough of last year.
Yeah, I totally agree. And they may be able to use those guys. Obviously Levante's getting older, to spell Levante every now and then. Keep him fresh, keep his snap count down a little bit, and also help you on teams as well.
Too, he's had some problems with, he has hamstring issues before. So, I think you want to see all four of these linebackers play. Obviously, you want your starters to play the majority of games, but you know what? The Buccaneers have had some blowouts. That Chargers game last year, the Giants game, the Panthers game here at the end of the season, the Saints game back in week 6. So they've had a handful of blowout games where the fourth quarter, if I'm Todd Bowles, I'm taking Levante and Servassier.
The Ravens game. When you're getting
here we go
out,
again.
Perhaps maybe you could sit some of your starters for a while.
You could do that. You could do that. Yeah. But you know,
if you don't want to win the game, then I guess so, JP. Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? So I hope that there's going to be some opportunities for those types of games again, where Levante and Servassier are just like 3-quarter players, and then you absolutely ride those guys. And the thing is if you're Todd Bowles, you trust the veterans, you trust the experience by putting those guys in and knowing that we're not going to give up 17 points in the fourth quarter with them in the game because they're not getting the defense set right, and we're giving up big plays and touchdowns. So I think that's the value of having veterans at linebacker.
Well, the second best podcast you did last week was with Todd Bowles, because we know what the best one was.
Yeah.
But kidding.
Appreciate you filling in. It was fun. Yes.
But
it was a good podcast, JP. We did a damn good job.
That was fun. Yeah. Thank you. But the podcast was great with Todd Bowles. You guys did a fantastic job. We learned a lot. Some of my favorite parts were when you asked him if you were in a fight, who would you want backing you up? And he's like, well, can I throw some coaches in there too?
Yeah.
And the winner was
Kevin Ross.
Who's
like 5'8", 5'9", and probably scrappy. Now well over 200 pounds. But I remember watching Kevin Ross when he was a cornerback for the Kansas City Chiefs growing up.
Yeah.
And he was a tough guy. They called him The Rock. That was his nickname, Kevin Ross, The Rock. And he's actually in the Chiefs Ring of Honor. Big time player, kind of like the Brian Kelly to Rondé Barber, if you will. Mm-hmm. BK was a very tough cornerback, didn't really get the due and the recognition.
Yeah.
But that's tough playing opposite Rondé Barber, right? But when you've got cornerbacks like Albert Lewis, when those two guys were the duo, and Lewis was an athletic freak, big time interceptor, and then Dale Carter, former first-round pick out of LSU, comes up. Ross got overshadowed a little bit, but still was valuable to the franchise. And they called him The Rock because he was tough, man. He would come up and knock you out. He took on some big backs. I remember Natron Means playing for the Chargers.
Oh, yeah.
240-pound back, and just
Natron Means business.
That's right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, just lit him up a couple times. So that was good. But then when I asked Coach, because I really wanted to know what player he was going to pick. And when he said Chris Godwin, that just blew my mind. The obvious choice is Vita Van, Coach. What are you doing?
Vita's too nice a guy, though. I was surprised at Godwin too, because he's such a soft-spoken guy.
Yeah.
But he's a tough son of a bitch.
He is. He's tough, and he does the dirty work and all that. But it's like, Vita played running back. It's not like Vita can't move. I mean, Vita's got some sneaky speed, and
he would de-escalate. He'd avoid the fight.
That's true. Exactly. He's the deterrent. That's the whole thing. If Vita Vea shows up, the fight's over. It's just
fight's over.
Not even starting. Yeah. So we're gonna have Jason Light on our podcast on Monday at 4:00. So make sure you check that out, Bucs fans.
Well, you think you are.
I'm gonna ask him the same thing. Let's see if
he's got the Metallica concert this weekend, so he has to survive that.
Well, he's already told me. He's like he confirmed, and he's like, I will be there. I know I've got the concert this weekend. I'm like, well, we're giving you to 4:00, Jason. It's not like you have to get out of bed, at 8:00 and do the podcast. You have some time to have those beers wear off. So
yes, yeah. All right. So anything else you gleaned from this weekend or this week at OTAs?
I like what I saw from the cornerbacks.
Yeah,
and
I was going to ask you about that.
There's only so much you can do. This is flag football time, right? This is just shorts and shirts, and you're running around and all that stuff. But this is the time where you can cover. You can catch passes. This is more of like flag football where it's passing, right? Whereas as opposed to running and all that. But Benjamin Morrison made a play on Emeka Egbuka, and first of all, it looked like it was going to be a fantastic catch. I mean, Emeka Egbuka, 6'1", 205, built like Chris Godwin. He went up in the air, elevated, caught the ball above his head, and just like a fantastic play. Great throw and great catch by Emeka Egbuka. The problem is he didn't come down with the ball. Benjamin Morrison skied up there with him. And without even touching Emeka Egbuka, really, there was no pass interference on the play. Went up and swatted the ball out of Emeka Egbuka's hands.
Damn.
And then they both collided after that and fell to the ground. And Emeka Egbuka looked like he had the wind knocked out of him for a second. It was a hard landing.
Yeah.
You don't typically see that play in OTAs. You want to come out of practices unscathed.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying, it's like, man, I love the competitiveness of both of these players. Especially Morrison, because that's what we didn't see enough of: contested catches, pass breakups, interceptions. For the love of God, right? So that was great to see. The highly competitive nature of a June OTA, like they're going after it. They're both those players were treating it like it was a game, and that was great to see from two rookies, especially your first and second round pick. Yeah. Then during the individual part of practice before that, Kevin Ross had his cornerbacks all working together. One cornerback was the receiver, one cornerback was the cornerback, and they were working kind of like in that short red zone area, 10 yards and in, and playing man coverage and getting up and playing really aggressive and playing super tight. And that's one thing Todd Bowles said on the show. He was asked I kind of like softly asked the question at the beginning of the podcast, and then we had another question from one of our fans. Say, Coach, why do your corners play off so far? What are you doing? It was basically the gist of it. It was like a little harder edged question. But Todd didn't back away from it. He's like, yeah, it bothers me too. And we are going to have our corners playing.
But he's the coach. I didn't understand that answer. I know he's like, yeah, I don't want him to play that. I'm like, then why are they doing it? Do they just not listen to you? What's going on?
That's what it is. Part of it is that's what it is. And here's the thing. When your starters are Zion McCollum and Jamel Dean, and your backups without Bryce Hall are Tyreek Funderburk and Josh Hayes, what's the consequence? It's not going to be like, damn it, Jamel, if you don't listen.
So maybe that's why they drafted two corners?
Yes. Yes. I think that's exactly what it is, to give Todd Bowles some options.
Right.
Listen, I mean, and this is at any level of football. I coach Pop Warner. I played 2 years in high school. It was not very good. College, pro, it happens at every level. Player screws up. He comes to the sideline. They put the backup in. He stands next to the coach and says, can't have you doing that. Can't have you doing that. Watch the guy just put in there. Watch him not do it. Right. Okay. Like, message sent. Do I want to play him the rest of the game or play you? You tell me. You want to go back in and do what I told you to do? Here you go. This is your last shot. I mean, that's common. That's normal. That's coaching. Right. But the problem is you have to be able to trust the backup. Like, you can't sit there and all of a sudden make your defense weak at a spot by putting in the weak link player. But that's kind of what happened last year. They didn't have anybody to turn to when Jamel or Zion weren't listening and following directions,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's what competition breeds. It makes everybody better, and it gets the coach the options to replace guys if the other guys aren't doing it.
I know that happened last year with Rachaad White.
Yeah.
Because I remember Liam Cohen said, and I pick up on things in press conferences. That's kind of one of my special mutant abilities as a reporter. And before even OTA started, we asked him about the running backs, and he's like, I want our running backs, to and through the hole, running like they're shot out of a cannon. And what was the knock on Rachaad White before last year? Tiptoe, right?
Yeah.
To laissez-faire, reading rather than hitting the hole. And I know that happened in training camp, right? Rachaad got the reps, and you'd see him kind of tiptoe through and do all that stuff. And then he's out, and they put Bucky Irving in. And I guarantee whether it was Liam Cohen or whether it was Skip Pete, the running backs coach, one of them had a conversation and say, Rachaad, do it like that guy, right? That's the way we want you doing it. And sometimes you need to see it from the sidelines. You need to see what it's supposed to look like. And I think that helped Rashaad's game. I mean, I think he went from a 3.7 yard average to 4.6.
Yes.
With fewer carries, but I mean, he had a 50-some yard run, like a career high, and was a much more productive running back in there because, like you said, JP, and you add Bucky Irving to the mix, raises the elevation of that competition.
Yeah, and they ran a lot more those man blocking schemes instead of zone, and we're so much better.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And that running game is something I'm really looking forward to taking another step. I mean, they were excellent last year. I think they could be even better this year with Graham Barton. One year better.
Comments there, like
which one?
Making fun of my fingers
because I had a block punt in high school as a finger injury to prove it.
I do.
Showing it off.
Yeah, I only had 2 highlights in my high school years. 2 the 2 years I played. One was the aforementioned block punt. Have you heard of the story of like the Red Sea parting in the Bible? Moses leads his people. Okay, I had a similar experience in high school where I'm like on punt block, right, and I'm defensive tackle lined up there, and for whatever reason, the long snapper went that way. And the guard went that way. It literally just no one was there.
It's called film study. The coach said, "Yeah, we don't have to worry about that guy."
That's true. Yes, I was just saying because I didn't do any film study. I was just like, "Holy crap!"
That guy never does anything. Don't worry about blocking him. Just
exactly. That was probably the tail of the tape with me. That was the scouting report on number 72 or whatever number it was back then. Anyways, so I go straight at the punter, right? And what's the hardest part of the football? The tip, right? Like that hard little thing there. And so I caught the ball right off of his foot and blocked it, and it knocked both of these fingers like sideways, like my digits were dislocated. And this is like before like sports medicine, and team trainer and all that. So I had Coach Miller, who was like the PE coach, but he was also like our sophomore team football coach. He went like that and kind of put him back into place. And then Dr. Miller took a popsicle stick, 2 popsicle sticks, and some tape.
Works great.
And said, you'll be fine at the end of the season, right? So,
you don't need an emergency room. I
did that with
my stepson the other day. Give me a popsicle stick and a little bit of tape. You'll be fine. We'll get that.
It didn't work. I'm not paying back to normal.
$500 to go to the emergency room to get a metal popsicle stick and some tape. We're just going to do it ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
Didn't you'll be fine. Yeah, and it worked, of course. All right, Scotty, great stuff. I love the stories. Yeah.
I only have 2. That was 1, so there's only 1 more I can share with you.
Tell everybody how they get your content, and they'll tell the next story on the podcast.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Pewter Report podcast 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. Next week's a big week. We have a show today, but it's just Bailey and Matt doing it, so I'm not even on it. So I'm not even going to promote it. I mean, you can watch it. It's probably going to be good, but I mean,
low priority.
So we'll skip to next week when I'm on. Jason Light, Monday, 4:00 on Pewter Report TV. That's our YouTube channel. And then we have 3 straight days of Bucs minicamp coverage. So we're going to be at minicamp on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And that's what the topics are going to be. We're going to give you all the news and reporting from minicamp. And that should be fun. And the Hassan Reddick watch is still on, and hopefully that watch will be turned off on Tuesday because it'll be there. And then you can also check out all of our content on pewterreport.com. Have a new SR's Fab 5 column coming out on tomorrow. I have no idea what I'm writing about yet, but it's going to be good because I got to think of something. And about
those are the best ones.
Punt block, I think.
Yeah, punt blocking in the NFL.
I just told the story. Is that going to be redundant if I write about it tomorrow?
No, not at all.
No, nobody's listening anyway.
Yeah, okay.
If you add my quotes in about them doing film study on you, I think it'll be funnier anyway.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then of course social media, X, Facebook, and Instagram at Pewter Report. So that's all I got.
All right, Scotty, great stuff, man. Thanks for jumping in. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Scott Reynolds, Pewter Report.